firstly, create a loop. If you're right-handed, keep this one to the left. Put your needle through. Get your right needle. Put it in from behind. Bring the thread through and put it on. Same again. And you do that for every stitch you need. If a pattern says cast on 50, this is how you cast on. And then I'll show you how to do the first row so that your knitting is always firm and will look similar to this dolly here where the knitting is quite firm. So I'm going to put 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches on my needle just as a demo. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 needles, stitches on your needle. Now what you're going to do is do not knit into the front of the stitch. You'll end up with very loose bottom. So you're going to knit into the back of the stitch and pull the stitch off like that, but don't bring the next stitch off with you. It is an art. I'm just going to have to drop my left arm a bit. So I'm going to, so as you can see, it's still firm at the bottom. Now this is the way my mother taught me over 55 years ago. So I'm actually not a spring chicken. And this is how I create my first row. Always in the back. Now you can use plastic or bamboo or metal needles. I prefer bamboo or plastic. Now this will always be your front because your tag will always, your cast on thread will always be on the left. So when you go to do the next stitch, say if you were wanting to do stocking stitch, whoops, it looks like I've dropped a stitch here. Let me just go back and see what I've done. Oh no, I haven't, it's just the change of colour. Okay, so with my yarn, if I'm going to now do garter stitch, which is this stitch here, you knit into the front of the stitch. So front, and bring the yarn around. Now I've got arthritis in my hands, so I can't automatically use my fingers to loop the wool around, so I go backwards. I don't use my finger automatically. Now, so now this is the back of your work. Now I'm going to do a purl row. So you go in this way from behind the front of the stitch. That's going to be your purl stitch. So now I'm going to do another knit row. So we've got one stitch of knit at the bottom, and I've done the purl, so I'm now going to do another knit row, which is going to continue on to be stocking stitch. So this will be knit, so your front row will always be knit, your back row will always be purl. But somehow I've managed to do this back to front, but it doesn't matter. It gives you an idea of how to use your needles. So that's what your stocking stitch looks like. Now I'll just do one more row. So now we're going to do purl. So remember, purl, you come in from behind the front of the stitch. And you knit along. But this will give you an idea of how not only to cast on, but how to do stocking stitch or a garter stitch. So I've got the thread on the wrong side for the, but it's not going to matter for the sake of doing this little sample. But there's your stocking stitch, and look how firm your bottom is. If you didn't knit into the back of the stitch on your cast on row, that would be all over the place like a dog's dinner. So I'm just going to show you. Here's an example. I've done 4 rows of knit only, and then the front will always be knit for your stocking stitch, and the back will always be purl. So into the front of the needle for the front, and into the back of the needle, and yarn over for the back for stocking stitch. This is probably a little bit complicated. This is called moss stitch. So that's probably a bit complicated, but that's how you cast on your stitches and how you do your garter and your stocking stitch. So this is garter stitch, which is 4 rows, and this is stocking stitch. And this is rib. The little beanies are rib, which I've just done this one. So that's knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2 to do a beanie. And all my patterns are up online on the Random Acts of Knitting and Crochet Kindness group. If not, if you can't find them, just message me and I'll send them to you. So I hope that helps.